Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This is my first attempt at doing a set of notes remotely. Okay, I'm sitting here in my kitchen. My little daughter is sitting there eating her breakfast next to me. We're going to try to talk through some sine, cosine, and tangent trigonometry ratios. Okay, now you have videos and notes given to you on the Khan Academy. Make sure that you are using those. Watch those videos carefully, step by step through the examples, and then give those assignments an attempt. I can see when you're watching the videos and when you're just skipping to the assignment. So that's not going to work for you, okay? All right, now we're going to talk through some things like mainly identifying sides. This is just the basics, guys. So these are the three trig ratios, okay? Ratio, again, meaning comparison. So we're comparing the sides, okay? Now, I'm going to write this up top, and you need to pay attention to this, okay? So we have SOH, CAH, TOA. So again, what I'm saying here, this is SOCA, and then over here we have TOA. SOCA, TOA, that is the way I've kind of taught in the past to use to remember what sides we're talking about when we're talking about these different functions, okay? All right, so there's only two times where you're going to be looking, we're using trig to find a piece of a right triangle. We're going to talk about what those are here in just a second, okay? So if we have the sine function, we're going to be using the opposite or hypotenuse, okay? That's what's going to be given to us, what we're looking for. Same thing with cosine, adjacent and hypotenuse. Now here, let's talk about what those are, okay? So example one, so we're looking for the sine of angle A, cosine of angle A, and then tangent of angle A, all right? So all these, we're starting on angle A, okay? All right, so sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So from angle A, what would be the opposite side? Well, based on those videos and what we learned in class, the opposite side is all the way across. So from A, 3 would be my opposite side, okay? Hypotenuse, 5 would be my hypotenuse. Now guys, the hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse. It's always across from the right angle, okay? So when it asks me to write this ratio here, sine of A, we have 3 over 5. 3 over 5, the opposite over the hypotenuse. Same thing with like the cosine of A. Cosine would be the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. Now the adjacent side is what's next to, okay? It's the side that helps make the angle. So here, this ratio would be 4 over 5, okay? So everybody see what we got going? Last one would be the tangent of A. Tangent of A would be opposite over adjacent, okay? So from angle A, we have the opposite side, we have the adjacent side, so that would be 3 over 4. Those would be my ratios, guys, okay? And again, this is just me explaining where the opposite side, where the adjacent side, and where the hypotenuse, okay? Now this next example, part B here, we're going from angle B, okay? So now we're looking down here at angle B, so what's going to switch in this example is our opposite and our adjacent. The hypotenuse always stays the same. It's the hypotenuse, okay? So now from B, 4 would be my opposite side, 3 would be my adjacent side. So sine of B, which would be opposite over hypotenuse, would be 4 over 5. Oops, 4 over 5, there we go. Cosine of B would be adjacent over hypotenuse, that'd be 3 over 5. Okay, and then tangent of B, opposite over adjacent, okay, would be 4 over 3, all right? Everybody see what we got going there? Again, here's my tangents, all right? Tangent, again, opposite over adjacent. So these are my formulas up here, guys, okay? It tells me what sides I'm using, all right? So there's a little explanation of where the opposite, the adjacent, and the hypotenuse is, and we have to know sine, opposite over hypotenuse, cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent, opposite over adjacent, okay? All right, now let's run through some examples here, okay? All right, as you can see, guys, this is just like a set of notes that we'd normally be doing in class here. I'm gonna do my best to try to get them where you can see them. Again, this is a first try. We will continue to get better as we go. So here, we're gonna talk about the only two times we're gonna be using trig, and that is where we are given an angle and a side, and we're looking for another side. So that's what this is here. Again, angle, side, we're looking for another side. Angle, side, we're looking for another side, okay? And then the last one we'll talk about real quick here in just a second. So I'm gonna do a couple of these examples, guys, okay? So here, we're gonna be using sine, cosine, or tangent, but which one do we use? It's all about what's given to you. So always start with your angle. I always circle it, okay? That's my reference angle. That's where we start. So from this reference angle, X would be my opposite side. It's all the way across the triangle, okay? 18, there's my right angle. 18 would be my hypotenuse. Everybody see what we got going? So because from this angle 54, we have the opposite side, we have the hypotenuse, O and H, that's going to be sine. So we set this up. Sine of the angle, which is 54, equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. So it's going to be X, what we're solving for, over 18, okay? Everybody see that, guys? So again, we chose sine because it's opposite and the hypotenuse was given to us from that angle. You have to be able to identify what sides you're talking about. That's what tells you what you use. Now the next one, guys, this is what we do when X is on top. Here's a little trick for you, okay? When X is on top, you multiply the other two pieces, okay? So again, X on top, then you multiply. All right, multiply. We take these other two pieces, we put them together, we multiply them, and you can do this in just about any calculator, y'all, okay? So here, X is going to equal the sine of 54 times 18, okay? Everybody see that? So again, when I'm using my calculator, guys, and I'm just using the Web 2.0 calculator on the internet here, so I have sine of 54, okay? Let me see if I can get this correct here. Sine of 54, okay? Enter, I get this big old nasty looking decimal. I'm going to multiply that by 18. Okay, so I evaluated it out on paper. Now I'm putting it in the calculator. And what we end up with, guys, is 14.56. Okay, so here X is going to equal 14.6. Now we round to the nearest tenth because we're looking for a side. Okay, all right, so guys, that's my answer right there. And again, this is where X is on top. Okay, now next example over here, example 4, we're going to show you what happens when X is on bottom. All right, so from 36, there's my reference angle, all right? Now we're given the adjacent side and we're still looking for the hypotenuse, or we're still got the hypotenuse involved, okay? So again, that's gonna be our X there, but here it's T, not X, so I'll go ahead and label this the H, that is the hypotenuse. All right, so since we have adjacent and hypotenuse, we're gonna be using the cosine, all right? Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so cosine of 36 equals 5 over t, all right? 5 over t. And again, t is just my variable here in this problem, y'all, okay? So, whereas on the first one, x was on top, variable on top, now the variable's on bottom, okay? So, here it is. Here's the rule. X on bottom, okay? You're going to switch and divide. Switch and divide. Okay, everybody see that? Switch and divide. Now what I'm talking about is I'm talking about these two pieces right here, your variable and your sine ratio. The cosine of 36 and your variable are going to switch places, okay? And again, guys, I'm showing you tricks here, okay? So t equals 5 over the cosine of 36. Does everybody see that? Everybody see what we got going? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, switch them, switch them. All right, now here, this is the piece that goes in my calculator, all right? So, on this Web 2.0 calculator, all right, we have 5 divided by, well, let me clear it all out. 5 divided by the cosine of 36. 36, and guys, these calculators on this Web 2.0 are pretty nice here, okay? So we hit enter there, we end up with 6.18, okay? So here, t equals 6.2, okay? 6.2, and again, we're rounding to the nearest tenth because we're looking for a side measure, okay? All right? So, x on top, you multiply the other two pieces to solve for your variable, just like we did here. If x is on bottom, we're going to end up switching and dividing. And again, that's what goes in your calculator, guys. And I did this all online, a Web 2.0 calculator. It'll help a lot, okay? I'll show you what I mean here in a second, all right? Now, last example here, guys, okay? And this is what we have when we are looking for an angle measure. This is the last time, okay? This is the other example of when we're going to be using trig, okay? So here, all right, we are solving for y. We still have our reference angle, but now that's what we're looking for, okay? So from y, we have the opposite side, we have the hypotenuse, okay? So O and H, this means we're going to be using sine, okay? Sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse, right? Okay, so the sine of y, that's our variable now, equals 6 over 8, okay? 6 over 8. Now guys, this is where you use the inverse. Those of y'all that are watching those videos, it might trip you out a little bit, okay? So really, everybody please write this. This is the inverse, all right? Which means it's going to have that to the negative first above it. Y'all see what I'm talking about, okay? So when you look at your calculator, especially this Web 2.0 version I'm looking at here, it has a second button. So I'm going to hit that second button first, all right? So if you want to draw in like a little second there, okay, that'll help you. So guys, this is what we end up doing, okay? Instead of us taking the regular sign here, now we're going to take the inverse sign of both sides, okay? We're trying to get y by itself, so I cancel each other out, okay? All right, but look at what happens here. Those two cancel out, leaving us with just y, okay, equals the sine to the negative first of 6 over 8, okay? So y'all, if you can just realize that when you're doing the angle, you have to use the inverse. That's where it has the negative first to it, okay? It's usually accomplished by hitting the second or the control button, depending on what type of calculator you're using, okay? So, okay guys, we're gonna finish up with this little piece here. We're solving for the inverse sine of 6 over 8 in the calculator, okay? All right, so again, we've solved this all out. We're using the inverse because it is a angle solving problem. We're solving for the angle. So here, looking for the angle given two sides. This is the other portion of trig here. Once we have the inverse sine of 6 over 8, we got that by solving, okay? We're going to come back and I'm going to show you exactly how to do this, okay? Watch, guys. I'm going to show you on the Web 2.0 calculator, then we're going to get our answer and be done, all right? Okay, so here, Web 2.0 calculator, all right? So I have the sine to the negative first of 6 over 8. That's what I'm attempting to put in to solve on my Web 2.0 calculator. So I'm going to go 6 over 8. Let me get the second button out here. 6 over 8, enter, all right? So that gives me 0.75. Then I'm going to use my sine function, but we're looking for the angle, so I'm going to hit second sine, okay? So again, you see it says a sine of 7.5, but that's really saying sine to the negative first. We're good there, okay? So we hit enter, and look what we get. We get 48.59, guys, 48.59. When we're looking for an angle, we're going to round to the nearest whole number. So my answer here is going to be 49 degrees, guys. So here, y equals 49 degrees. Okay, all right, there it is. There's 3 examples. What we do in X is on top, what we do in X is on bottom, and what we do in X is the angle spot, okay? Use this video in addition to the videos and the examples on the Khan Academy and do your best to get all the way through those, okay? Don't just guess. Solve them out on paper because you can always put in this last step here in the calculator, guys, but you got to get to that point. Use the information on the video, use these tricks I've shown you to be able to complete these assignments by Friday, okay? Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. Bye.